Hey, it's John McCabe. Welcome to the show. Hey, welcome to the John A. McCabe Show, where it's all about accelerating your authority in your business or field of expertise. And I do that by helping entrepreneurs, business owners, authors, experts, and speakers get seen, get heard, get noticed on any device, anywhere, anytime, in as little as 100 days, also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. With shows like Flip This House, Income Properties, and Flipping Some City, the business of real estate investing has been on a dramatic rise in the past 8 to 10 years, with organizations crossing the country and continent, educating people on getting out of the rat race. There's a large number of people venturing out on their own to find financial freedom. Now, some organizations are just in and out over the course of a couple of hours or a weekend to upsell you into very expensive training, while at the same time there are other groups, networks, and organizations that support their members throughout the year, providing them with information, research, and even training. But even with the support, there's still a high percentage of people who attempt to get into real estate investing only to make what some may call rookie mistakes. Far too often, these mistakes can cost a novice and sometimes immediate investor thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. Now, my guest today will help shed some light on many of the most common mistakes made by investors and how you can fix the situation that you may have gotten yourself into. Now, Russell Westcott is a full-time veteran Canadian-based real estate investor. He's an author, member of the executive team at Tri-Urban Real Estate, and an inspirational public speaker. Now, prior to joining the team at Tri-Urban, he spent roughly 13 years with the Real Estate Investment Network, and his last position was the vice president. Now, during that time, Russell has traveled across the country several times a year, presenting and educating real estate investors looking to find their version of freedom. Now, whether it be financial freedom, time freedom, or freedom of choice, Russell has seen tens of thousands of individuals looking to achieve their dream. Now, like so many investors before him, Russell has had his ups and downs in this business. He's made mistakes, learned from them, and pushed forward only to persevere and come through much smarter and stronger. Now, what Russell has done is not let the challenges, missteps, or mistakes prevent him from moving forward, fixing the situation, and doing more deals. So be sure to stick around, because when I come back just after this short video, I'm going to be joined by my friend and colleague today, Russell Westcott. Hey, welcome back. I'm pretty excited to chat with my friend and guest today, Russell Westcott. Russell's presentations have been called passionate, entertaining, educational, and inspirational. Now, at his core, he's a teacher and has moved more than 100,000 people with his books, audio programs, presentations, and podcasts. He has a natural gift and empathy for mentoring other real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and aspiring public speakers. Now, he's built his first $1 million real estate portfolio within his first year of taking the leap into real estate investing, and continues to build and manage his personal real estate portfolio. Now, Russell has co-authored 2 best-selling Canadian real estate books, 97 Tips for Canadian Real Estate Investors, and Joint Ventures, the Canadian Investor's Guide to Raising Money and Getting Deals Done. Now, today, professionally, Russell dedicates his time to Tri-Urban Real Estate Inc. as the Chief Communications Officer. Now, Tri-Urban is a rapidly growing full-service real estate company based out of Edmonton, Alberta, that focuses on building sustainable rental communities, offering turnkey, top-performing investment real estate. Russell is part of a movement encouraging people to do what inspires them to make a measurable impact in other people's lives. He's an optimist, believing in a bright future and our ability to build it together. And in his spare time, Russell spends time earning the love and support of his amazing wife and family, reading good books, and striving every day to be a better leader in all aspects of life. Wow. Who wrote that?
Geez, yeah. I'm gonna hire that person whoever wrote that copy. Well done.
So please give it up with likes, love, shares, and a virtual flurry of thumbs up and heart icons across the screen for my guest today, Russell Westcott. How you doing,
Hey,
Russell?
John, good to see you. Good to see you, man. After reading that, I go, geez, what's the old Costanza saying? End on a high note. Good night.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
The show's over and time to go. Yeah, so welcome to the show. Actually, in the studio, which is an honor and a pleasure. I don't usually have too many people coming to Edmonton to be on the show, but you were in town and made the journey over, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, we were out watching the Oilers, win last night in the last game of the season. So good luck to the Oilers as they go forward. And John, you and I were in your studio in November. Yeah, I remember, and I came by to see the setup here. So
you dropped by, yeah.
So congratulations to you for really just implementing your vision and just getting this out. And this is a valuable service that you're doing for entrepreneurs, real estate investors, people of all walks of life. So I just wanted to acknowledge you and congratulate you for walking the talk, if you will.
Thank you very much. I'm actually quite proud of what I've accomplished, watching other people's live casts. Obviously, there's people out there either way more famous or have a bigger following or whatever it is. But I think when it comes to the quality and the level of production that I do, the guests that I bring on, the flow of the show, I think there's not many out there that are putting out a live show on a regular, consistent basis with as much high-end quality as what I'm doing, and the main goal with everything I'm doing is just to educate the viewer, is to provide value to people that are watching the show, regardless of whether they're in real estate or they're an entrepreneur, business owner, author, expert, speaker. Doesn't really matter. The main purpose is to help them grow their business.
Absolutely.
Introducing them to new strategies or to people who have been there, done that, or maybe had some challenges, the same challenges that the viewers may have had, and how do they overcome those challenges and things like that. So thanks for joining me.
It's good you use the word proud. You should be proud of what you've done. This is fantastic. Yeah. So thank you for the invitation.
And being the introvert I am, I get to do the show, and nobody's here to watch me, just the people that are out there.
Here's the fun is we have two shy introverts here going, so everyone's going in the background watching this going, oh dear, we're watching two shy introverts on camera. This could be entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. And, I actually find it way more comfortable. People say, well, I don't like to be on camera. Well, I don't like to be on camera either, but I know for what it is I need to achieve that I actually need to be on camera. And I actually, as a very proud introvert, I'm actually more comfortable doing live shows like this or standing on stage in front of hundreds or 1,000 people doing a presentation than I am sitting in a small group of 4 to 6 or 8 people and having to interchange or interact with all those people in a group setting. I just find it more comfortable standing in front of people, 1,000 people doing a presentation than in that small group.
Yeah. Well, two things from that. I've actually done a lot of thinking myself. Speaking in front of people as an introvert is actually your yin to your yang to make you a whole person.
Right.
It's actually, and it's when you get driven and passionate about your mission and you share that with others. It's actually a book that I'm looking to write down the road called Find Your Voice, of helping shy introverts find their unique voice in this world. So
there's a lot of introverts out there in the entrepreneur space. Yeah. I mean, a lot of them. And a lot of them, what their biggest challenge is obviously if they don't like to go networking or they don't want to, they hate that salesmanship. How do they actually help accelerate their business, or what is it they can do to attract more clients or more people to their business so that they can build it and grow it.
So all you shy introverts that are out watching this, give a big thumbs up and a like onto it and give it some love. Get some introvert love.
Yeah, exactly. But Russell, I know you watched the show before, but the first thing we like to do before we get too far into it is an interview, a speed round of questions. And don't worry, it's nothing you need to study for. There's no pass or fail. There's no right answer, wrong answer. It's just whatever comes to your mind. And if you're watching this at home or watching on the replay, just type in your answers to the question as well and just play along. So you all set?
Absolutely. Let's go for it.
All right. So name the book that impacted your life the most.
The most. That's quickly, Think and Grow Rich.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably one of the most common ones. When you were a young boy, who was your celebrity crush?
Celebrity crush. Well, I grew up in Saskatchewan. We had two channels, so we didn't have social media like we did before. Celebrity crush. I Dream of Jeannie. Barbara Eden.
Barbara Eden. Okay, excellent. What is either a book or a podcast or a show that
I know my wife is watching. Sorry, honey.
Into right now?
2 podcasts I love and don't miss an episode. School of Greatness with Lewis Howes and Self-Made Man with Mike Dillard, 2 I don't miss any week.
Excellent. Are you currently working with any coaches?
Yeah, you know what? I have multiple coaches in different areas. I probably have 2.5 coaches that I'm working with on different things right now.
Okay, and
So-
do you want to name them?
And not at this time. They're actually quite private people. They don't
Okay.
They aren't taking on more people, so that's
Right.
I don't want to broadcast it for
Excellent.
them.
So what's your favorite movie of all time?
Well, I'm a movie buff, so it's hard to lay down just the one. I'll give you my top 3: Shawshank Redemption,
Yeah.
Forrest Gump, and It's a Wonderful Life.
Excellent movies. Are you currently involved in any masterminds right now?
Yes, usually every city I go to, we might be going to one this weekend here in Edmonton. I belong to the Real Estate Investment Network as a member.
Yeah.
I firmly believe masterminding is an unbelievable way, and surrounding yourself with like-minded people, the best way to learn.
Excellent. Name a person either dead or alive who you'd most like to meet and have dinner with. So dead or alive, doesn't matter.
Dead or alive. I would like a book that I just recently read, The Obstacles Away, Ryan Holiday. I'd love to meet Ryan Holiday.
Okay. And what's your favorite type of vacation, a beach or adventure tour?
Beach. Usually I'm going flat out so much that we just need to take time and just relax.
Yeah. Actually, I love beach vacations myself. Actually, it's less about sitting on the beach, more about sitting at the bar by the beach, drinking my cerveza. What's the best business advice you ever received?
You know, the best business advice I ever received was quite a ways into business is be yourself. Trust yourself, be yourself, and you know what? You're worthy of anything that comes to you, but just 100% be yourself. Find your own unique voice in this world, but just trust and be authentic to who you are.
Excellent. And the last question is two-parter. It's not what you consume regularly, but if you're going to treat yourself, which beverage are you going to treat yourself with, water, beer, or wine? And which food are you going to treat yourself with, pizza, wings, or salad?
Wine and wings.
Wine and wings? Excellent. So everyone give Russell some love by hitting that love button. Make sure you share and comment on this as well. And I just want to welcome Barry Schimmel and Chan to the show. And Barry says, good afternoon. Excited to learn from the experts. Thanks, Barry. I talked to Bernie yesterday. Thanks, Barry. So if you have any questions you want me to ask Russell, just type them in the comment field, and we'll try to get to them during the show. If not, we'll answer them in the Facebook comments afterwards. And if you're just joining us, I'm speaking with Russell Westcott, who's a full-time veteran Canadian real estate investor, author, member of the executive team at Tri-Urban Real Estate, and an inspirational public speaker. Now, for 13 years, Russell was part of the Real Estate Investment Network and held the position of VP just prior to departing for Tri-Urban, where he works as the Chief Communications Officer for the full-service real estate company based out of Edmonton. Now, it focuses on building sustainable rental communities, offering turnkey, top-performing investment real estate. Now, Russell's part of the movement encouraging people to do what inspires them to make a measurable impact in other people's lives. He's an optimist, believing in a bright future and the ability to build it together. In his spare time, Russell spends his time earning the love and support of his amazing wife and family, reading good books, and striving every day to be a better leader in all aspects of life. So just remember, if you have any questions, just type them in the comment field, and we'll get to them during the show. And as always, please like, love, and share this video on your Facebook feed and any business pages or that you're associated with. So Russell, can you give the viewers who may not know about you and other than the intro that I gave you, a little bit more about your origin story and how you really got into the investment field that you're in right now?
Yeah, well, you know what? It's interesting on sometimes when you're shy and introvert, it's the hardest person to talk about yourself. So I'll just keep it really, really short and sweet. I'm from born and raised in Saskatchewan, go Riders. And I've been out in the Vancouver area for the last 20 some years now, and got hooked on real estate investing probably about around the turn of the century. It makes it sound like it's longer, right?
Yeah.
The turn of the century. So I read a book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, as a lot of people have read that wonderful book, which then led me into a path, down another path, and then real estate really resonated with me. You know, I'd never bought a piece of real estate, so it should definitely resonate with me if I've never bought a property in my life. And then I met a fellow by the name of Don Campbell, and Don Campbell with the Real Estate Investment Network. Just something resonated about who Don was and his teaching and his core philosophy and everything that he stood for. It just really hit home with me, and I became a member of the Real Estate Investment Network. And the day that I became a member of the Real Estate Investment Network, for the first 5 years, I bought a property a month for 5 years. And then, within a year after being a member, I actually became part of the executive team at the Real Estate Investment Network. And I just found my groove of teaching people. I love to teach and inspire and share my wisdoms, and most importantly, share my mistakes. I think we learn more from our failures about what we do in life, and can we bounce back from them, anything. And then that's led me here to today. I've just now ventured off into a new business venture with a team of unbelievable entrepreneurs and real estate investors here in Edmonton. And, we have grand ambitions of changing the world. So I know that's talk, but it's might as well start with the talk, right?
Excellent. So just a quick question, since you were passionate about training and educating others, why did you end up leaving that field to go into this opportunity? Other than, it's a great opportunity, I understand that. But why did you leave something you're passionate about to go into this field?
A great question. You know what? I think at any level of our life and any interaction we ever have with anybody is an opportunity to teach and train and inspire people. And quite frankly, I get more inspired by just talking with people that know more than I do about things and just learning more from them. So to really succinctly answer your question, I think by being an example of doing some change in the real estate industry and with real estate investments, I think that will teach and inspire people every day that they get to interact with us.
Yeah. So next question is, no, this is not specific to real estate investing. It's part of real estate investing, but part of being an entrepreneur, a business owner, and it really has to do with mistakes, because we all make mistakes. In business, if you're not making mistakes, you're not learning. That's my philosophy, because if somebody who tries once and succeeds and never fails, they're not really learning how to fail or how to succeed. They just got lucky, or they put in a lot of hard work, and luck doesn't play a part of it. But I feel that there has to be those ups and downs. You have to make mistakes in order to succeed and really grow to the potential that you want. So when it comes to real estate investing, we hear the stories. People make a lot of mistakes, especially when they're just starting out. Maybe they don't have the right coach or mentor, or they're not following the right system, and they end up making mistakes. So what's your view or philosophy on people making mistakes in general when it comes to either real estate investing or entrepreneurship?
Yeah, you know what? Mistakes is sometimes people might think of it as a really bad word. I did at a time. I thought that I had to be perfect with everything, and mistakes are really a sign of weakness, and that's really just your ego talking. But mistakes are a fact of life. If we were probably keeping track, we probably have made 10 to 20 mistakes already in just this episode, mostly for me. Yeah. But if you're not making mistakes, you really are not learning. And I think the first really big lesson that, if I can just get across, and this is going to come through in everything we're going to talk about, is actually just reframe it is mistakes are actually your friends. If you get shut down by making a mistake, and you never make a mistake, you actually will never do anything. And we were all put on this beautiful, shiny, spinning planet through the cosmos. We were put on this thing to contribute, to serve others. And in order to contribute and serve others, we have to make mistakes, because that's how we make progress. So the first thing I would highly recommend is mistakes are your friend. And as I mentioned in my person I want to meet, I highly recommend everybody pick up the book Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday, which is a fantastic way of reframing of obstacles and mistakes, and as a whole look into Stoic philosophy on it's actually obstacle becomes the way to the success that you want in life.
Yeah, excellent. If you guys are just joining us, I'm speaking with Russell Westcott, as a full-time veteran Canadian real estate investor, author, member of the executive team at Tri-Urban Real Estate, and an inspirational public speaker. For 13 years, Russell was part of the Real Estate Investment Network and held the position of VP just prior to departing for Tri-Urban, where he works as the Chief Communications Officer for the full-service real estate company based out of Edmonton that focuses on building sustainable rental communities, offering turnkey, top-performing investment real estate. Now, Russell's part of the movement encouraging people to do what inspires them, to make a measurable impact in other people's lives. He's an optimist, believing in a bright future and their ability to build it together. And his spare time, he spends his time earning the love of his family, his wife, reading good books, and striving every day to be a better leader in all aspects of life. So if you have any questions, just type them in the comment, and we'll try to get to them during the show. And as always, please like, love, and share this video on your Facebook feed and all business pages that you're associated with. And I just want to welcome Dwayne to the show. Thanks for joining us, Dwayne. And so, Russell, when it comes to making those mistakes and making a mistake in general, I think there are a lot of people, they'll take one of two philosophies. Mm-hmm. They'll either take ownership or they play the blame game. So what's your take on when people make mistakes and either owning up to it or the blaming? What do you see? What's your philosophy or strategy behind that?
I actually heard a really funny saying of late is sometimes when mistakes happen, people pull out the blame throwers and they start just blame throwing all around the place. And quite honestly, it's the people. Everyone wants to be leaders. Everybody's entrepreneurs that are watching this. The people that really take the ownership to the mistakes, because here's the fact of the matter is everybody wants what's good, all the good things that come out of it. Nobody wants to take responsibility for what bad comes out of it. You cannot get the full good of a situation unless you take the 100% of responsibility of the bad. Mm-hmm. You can't have one without the other. You have to take both sides of the story. Now, one of the best stories I remember of this that was really clear to me is when I first started, I tried my hand at professional golf long time ago, and I was having back problems. I went in to see a chiropractor, a physiotherapist, who was the best at the best. And he walked me through and he says, Russell, he goes, first and foremost, this is your problem. This back problem you have is your problem. I'm going to help you. I'm going to give you some exercises. I'm going to help you through. But until you realize that this is your issue and only you can fix it is when you're actually going to start the recovery, which really struck home to me. Mm-hmm. Of until you take full ownership to something is when you can then take the full accountability of the good that happens as well. Yeah,
we're all the captains of our own destiny. Yep. So we have to, if we want that success, we have to take the failures, or we have to take the responsibilities on the journey to that success, however they come, whether they're good, whether it's bad. You just have to take the ownership. And until you actually do that, mm-hmm. I think that you're not going to see the level of success that you want to see in whatever aspect of the life that we're talking about.
Absolutely.
There's also, in the real estate investing space particularly, but also in entrepreneurship, people... because I find myself doing this from time to time. Mm-hmm. And then I become aware that I'm doing this, mm-hmm. and then I stop doing it. And that is comparing myself to others. Mm. And when I say I become aware of it, it's like, no, I'm not in the same situation as everybody else. Yep. I may have more advantages or less advantages, but my circumstance, my situation, my personal drive, my determination is different than everybody else. Yep. How much money I have, how little money I have, things like that. So, and I know that's big in the real estate investing, mm-hmm. where especially people starting out and they're looking at other people as like, oh, they get 20 doors or 30 doors, or they got lots of money, they can just go out and buy properties, and here they're trying to do no money down deals because they no cash, no credit, no partners. So do you see that a lot of times, and what do you typically tell, especially new people, when they're looking at stuff like that?
I see it all the time. I'm a personification of it. I lived it, and it really came down to when I first got started. Sometimes I attached my self-worth and self-esteem to the amount of properties I was transacting. Mm-hmm. And when I shared earlier about that I bought a property a month for 5 years, I'm still paying for that. Quite honestly, I bought the wrong properties in the wrong areas, and we'll get to that in another question. But sometimes, and I just heard this recently that just really struck home with me, is don't ever compare somebody's sizzle reel to your blooper reel. Right? And you would get that being, and then putting the show together. Sometimes when people are standing on a stage and they're boasting about all the wonderful things, and there's a lot of egos in this. Like there are a lot of people out there that they want to get the attention, and they have the ego of they're just driving everything based upon look at me, look at me, look at me. But if you actually look probably underneath or behind the curtain, sometimes, people maybe didn't wish they took all that action, or they have all those things. And that's one of the things is, sharing your mistakes and sharing the challenges and sharing the struggles. I'm all for sharing the story and sharing the struggle. I'm not for getting stuck in the story and the struggle, because sometimes people use that as an excuse not to move forward. Yeah. Get the empathy from the struggle, share the struggle, but just hit it head on and just move forward.
I've been doing a lot of that in the last couple of years, especially with my live cast, is being very transparent. I've had some great successes in some of the things that I've done. I've also made some bad choices, and those choices have led
having me on as a guest. Is that what you?
Have led me to start again from zero. I've just recently gone through another bad choice, and I'm starting again from zero. Yeah. It was a bad real estate investing choice. Had nothing to do with not knowing what I'm doing, just not protecting myself from partners. Yeah. Which is sometimes a bad choice. But I am very transparent. I'm working on a new book with one of my writing coaches that's really going to get even deeper into the transparency and into my stories of struggles, of the things that I've actually gone through. It's great that I have my sizzle. People, you saw my sizzle reel coming on. International speaker, best-selling author, blah 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 blah. But if you watch the show long enough, all of the challenges I've had to get to those points, and I've had those highs and I've had deep valley lows, and I am free, or I have no problem telling people about my failures and being very transparent, because I think that's where I'm learning. I'm not getting stuck there. I'm not comparing. Yeah, sometimes I catch myself comparing myself to other people, but at the same time, I realize that some of the choices that I have to change the choices or make new choices and just keep moving forward and try not to compare myself. But being transparent, being authentic.
Absolutely, finding your true authentic voice in this world. Yeah. And I just want to share one quick thing before we do move on. I had someone that just recently shared with me. I was just working my way through something that I just felt stuck. I just felt stuck in it, and he gave me some unbelievable advice. He said, "You know what, Russell, you're just being positioned with a test, and how you handle this test, and you're going to have to keep dealing with this test until you pass this test, because on the other side of this test, something great is waiting for you. You first have to pass this, and then you can move on to what's great."
Yeah, we're all being all these challenges are being put in front of us for I believe for a reason. Yep. I'm quasi-religious, spiritual type person. I believe there's something. I don't have proof.
Quasi, is that
I don't have proof of what it is, but I know there's something out there guiding us into the choice. And we make these choices, and these obstacles are there for us to learn and to move forward. And I truly believe that you learn from it and you move forward, and there's something better in the horizon as long as you are consistent, persistent, you're taking action, and you're moving forward. It's when you stop moving forward, that is when things will start actually going backwards.
Absolutely.
When you stop moving forward, you stop making that, you're building that momentum or the challenges or whatever. So
it's almost good we should put a little hashtag in amen, brother.
Amen. Amen. So if you guys, if you're just joining us, I'm speaking with Russell Westcott, who's a full-time veteran Canadian-based real estate investor, author, member of an executive team at Tri-Urban Real Estate, and inspirational public speaker. For 13 years, Russell was part of the Real Estate Investment Network here in Canada and held the position of VP just prior to departing for Tri-Urban, where he works as the Chief Communications Officer for the full-service real estate company based out of Edmonton that focuses on building sustainable rental communities, offering turnkey, top-performing real estate investment. Now, he's part of a movement encouraging people to do what inspires them, to make measurable impact in people's lives, and he's an optimist, believing in the bright future, which we were just talking about, and the ability to build it together. So if you have any questions for Russell, just type them in the comment field, and we'll try to get to him during the show, and if not, we'll answer them after the show. And as always, please like, love, share this video on your Facebook feed and any business pages that you're associated with. One thing that comes up a lot, Russell, when you're talking, you go to these networking meetings, or you go, even I'm sure in the rain, it's all about, it's like it's a race for the number of doors.
Yes.
It's like, how many doors do you have? How many doors do you have? How many doors do you have? They don't ask like what type of door, what quality of door or what color the door is. It's just how many doors.
Yes.
Meaning how many apartments or how many rental units you have. They never talk about the quality of those individuals, whether they're deadbeats or whether they're high-performing assets. So talk a little bit about the quality versus the quantity.
Yeah, a lot of time, most people, when they first get started, the only criteria that they look at is maybe a cash flow pro forma. And thank goodness they're at least looking at that. I know lots of people that won't even go that far. It's just pure speculation. They do no research. They have no education. It's just a friend and family, and somebody told them they should get into real estate investing.
It's a good idea.
And they have no idea. They have no idea what to do, but they do it anyways. Yeah. I often make the joke sometimes that sometimes people put more research into buying a washing machine than they do going into buying a piece of real estate. But I'm focused a lot more on the quality properties versus the quantity of properties right now. I shared that story that I bought more than the 60 properties, and quite frankly, I'd trade a lot of those in if I had maybe just 12 unbelievably turnkey properties that were high quality, that had great tenants and low maintenance. And then I'd work to a point of getting 12 to 17 properties, get them free and clear. And then that's an unbelievable financial moat built around our financial house, if you will. And that's one of the biggest lessons I learned is sometimes cheap. Let's put it this way. Cheap is cheap. and cheap is cheap when you buy it, and it's also cheap when you sell it. Unless you're really good at buying cheap, fixing up and adding value to it to make a quality, which is a totally different strategy, which is fantastic. But as maybe a straight rental property, sometimes when you buy cheap and you don't maintain it and you put in bad tenants, it will be cheap forever. And you will have to sell it cheap, gone down years down the road, and it will have been a bad experience for you. Or you have properties that you love that you would be proud to move in yourself almost. That's a big fundamental shift that I've had of doing this for 15 years.
And I'm going to make a statement that I know most people watching this are going to disagree with, and they're going to be appalled that I'm making this statement. Price is really irrelevant. Yep. Price is irrelevant. Yep. It's really about your return on your investment. It's really about the cash flow. Cash flow is king. Cash flow has to be your number one priority, and then your return on investment. So it doesn't matter what you get the home for. Does it meet your cash flow requirements, and does it meet the ROI that you're looking for to get out of your money? Yep. So it has nothing to do with how much you pay for a property. Yep. It has to do with for me, those two factors. So I don't look at the price of the home. I look at, okay, well, if that's the price they're asking, and I do my analysis, and I know I want to make this much per door, and I know my ROI requirement for this strategy is this much percentage. Do I meet those two criteria? And if not, what do I have to get the home for, or the unit for, in order to meet the requirements? So if it doesn't pass those two tests, I don't care what the price is. It needs to pass those two tests for me.
And I'm even going to add one more thing on top of that. Is another criteria to add to what you just said was it also needs to fit your lifestyle and your time commitments as well. So I know many people that get into investing in real estate that they buy a renovation project and they're going to manage them all themselves, and they got a family of 5 and they got 2 jobs and they have no time to do this. So really give a hard look at your lifestyle, the amount of time that you can put in, your aspirations, who your team is, who your mentors are, and let your lifestyle determine the type of asset you should get into, not let the asset dictate what your life will turn into. Because I know lots of people, their lives have just turned upside down because they got into wrong properties that did not meet the time commitment that they wanted to put into it.
And now they detest real estate investing.
And real estate is wrong.
It's real estate's problem.
Yes.
It all boils down to it's the blame game, right? It's
the blame thrower.
Somebody, it's not my problem. It's like it's their fault, you know. So a lot of you've obviously worked with tens of thousands of people across the country. People just starting out, sort of in your estimate, or sort of going to give a generalized statement, are most of them looking at the immediate time frame, or are they looking more long-term lifestyle strategies? So, what have you seen, or what mistakes do you see people making versus when it comes to immediate versus long term.
Yeah. Well, I was there, 15 years ago when I started, and Don Campbell shared very, very clearly right from the beginning, invest for the long term. Like, you're in it for the long term. And I was just starting, and I said, I got it. What does that mean? Right? You don't actually have the idea. So I use the term sometimes when you're traveling to a country, you can either be a native or a tourist. Right? At the beginning, a lot of people they understand it in principle, but they actually are not in it full time. So now I'm into it 15 years later. Mm-hmm. I now understand, and this still isn't even long term. This is actually just medium term.
Yep.
I now understand what the real math is, what it takes to hold a portfolio of real estate long term. And knowing what I know now, would I change anything? You know what? Everything that I did and every mistake that I made has just forged who I am as a person.
That's right.
I wouldn't change a thing, but I wish I would have met me 15 years ago. So if anyone has a time machine out there and there's those mentors that are 15 years in your future, hopefully they can come back and at least teach you some of the lessons now. So that's really one of my really a big mission I have in life, is to not just share all the mistakes and everything, but also to share just some lessons learned and just some things. You're going to make mistakes, guaranteed. But if I can help you soften some of the mistakes I've made to then free you onto other mistakes you're going to make yourself, it may be of help.
Yeah, and that's one of the key reasons why not only in real estate investing, but in business or entrepreneurship, people need to be looking at coaches and mentors.
Absolutely.
Because the real purpose for them is to shorten that learning curve and to learn from the mistakes that they've made. Because if your coach hasn't made mistakes, you need a different coach. Yeah. You need a coach that's made mistakes, got up, persevered, continued on, made some more mistakes, so they can help you avoid all those pitfalls, all those mistakes that they've made. You can learn from their wisdom much faster than you can from a book, than you can from a course, than you can from any other strategy. Yeah. And thinking back, I invested, I went through the back then it was the Tigrant, which was, the promotion was the Rich Dad Education Company, or Rich Dad, which was the Tigrant organization, was the fulfillment. Invested $40,000 in the coaching, along with the coaching and the strategies. Having to do it over again, if I were to go do it over again, and even some of the stuff in the entrepreneur space, I would learn as much as I could in a short period of time. I'm not going to waste years trying to learn something, but I would rather invest my money working with a coach than I would spend the $40,000 on all these training courses. Spend I would invest the $40,000 into coaching,
yes,
versus into the training to fast track my results. And I know I've done that in my business. I've probably in the last few years in the entrepreneurship space, $150,000 to $200,000, with a lot of that going into coaching, mastermind groups versus just the individual training itself. So
spend it into the doing, and spend it into the support, and spend it into the mentorship along the way. Don't just spend it into the education. Education in and of itself, just in a nutshell, is great. Like, don't ever stop learning, but you still actually have to put it into action. Yeah. So I 100%, if anyone is ever looking for any kind of coaching, ask the question about how are we going to actually implement what we're talking about, or are we just going to talk about it?
Yeah. So I've had coaching with people where you're just sitting in a room and you're just discussing things, which to me is there's not a whole lot of implementation going in there, versus other coaches, or the ones I'm working with right now down in San Diego. It's more about, okay, this is what I've done. Let's take a look at it. Let's analyze. Let's work on it some more, put it into play, then analyze what results you get, and fine tune it and tweak it where you're actually doing something, versus just sitting in a room and teaching, endlessly
talking.
Yeah, which really it has its benefits, but for $10,000 or $15,000 a day to work with my coach, yep, I don't want to be sitting there just talking about stuff, right? It has to be a very specific purpose. It's like, okay, there's my strategy. Here's what I want to do. I need this webcast. I need a book. I need a podcast. Okay, let's what do I need to implement right now to make that stuff happen? And let's look at the results, and let's look at the wording and all that stuff. So, so we're talking about lots of stuff. If you're just joining us, I'm speaking with Russell Westcott who's a full-time veteran Canadian-based real estate investor, author, member of the executive team at Tri-Urban Real Estate, and an inspirational public speaker. For 13 years, Russell was part of the Real Estate Investment Network and held the position of VP just prior to departing for Tri-Urban, where he works as a Chief Communications Officer for a full-service real estate company based out of Edmonton. And they focus on building sustainable rental communities, offering turnkey, top-performing investment real estate. Now, Russell's part of a movement encouraging people to do what inspires them, to make a measurable impact in people's lives. He's an optimist, believing in a bright future and the ability to build it together. In his spare time, he spends it with his loving and supporting family, his wife, reading good books, and striving every day to be a better leader in all aspects of life. So if you have any questions or comments, just type them in the comment field and we'll try to get to them. And as always, please like, love, and share this video on your Facebook feed and any business pages that you belong to. So one thing I've learned, Russell, over the years and working with my real estate coach is the emphasis on the math, the emphasis on the analysis, factoring in, especially the way that I do it, because I've been taught to do it in a way that 99% of the real estate investors aren't taught this way. And because we look at budgeted or unseen costs, which we know are going to take place, which we factor in our analysis when we do the analysis. They may not be actual expenses immediately, but we know that they're going to happen, so we budget for them all the time. And if it doesn't meet that criteria, we just pass. So what have you seen when it comes to, well, you talked about this a little bit with the newbies where they're just buying stuff just because somebody said it's a good deal or whatever, but what have you seen in the last 13, 15 years with the emphasis on the math, the analysis? Has it changed? Is there more emphasis now than it used to be? And how do people approach it nowadays?
Yeah, and I can tell firsthand experience about this hard lesson learned is, when I bought my properties starting 15 years ago, 15 years ago, when I bought them, they were 40 years old. Fast forward 15 years, they're now 50, 55, coming on 60 years old. And, rental housing deteriorates. Tenants don't treat it as nice. Unfortunate to say, tenants don't treat it as nice if it was their home. Unfortunate to say, some do. Absolutely got tenants that are fantastic. Yeah. They're like gold, and I treat them like gold, and we'll always have a wonderful relationship. But sometimes people just don't actually take a look at, hot water tanks. How long do they last? Furnaces, roofs, doors, windows. Real life a story I bought, the mistake I made, and I talked earlier about, was the ego getting involved, right? I suffered, I still sometimes suffer from short man syndrome. And as a short man, sometimes the short men that suffer from short man syndrome, we have to be like the loudest dog on the park, and we have to bark louder than everybody else. So we have to prove our self-worth, and we have to do more than everybody else, and we have to, just don't ever let things go. But that led me to buying in this one complex, which I bought one, and in my infinite wisdom, I ended up buying 9 of them in the same complex. And, fast forward 12, 13 years later, we get hit with a $36,000 special assessment times 9. Yeah. Right? So for those of you, math time, put that into your calculator. Yeah. And it did not cash flow that long over that period of time. So it was challenging. It was struggle. It was a big struggle to come up with that much money, and they gave a little bit of time to pay it off. But it was tough. I had to sell some things and had to take losses. I actually, on a portfolio of real estate, I actually had to write a check to my lawyer to sell the property. Something that I owned for almost 14, 15 years. Wow. I had to bring a check to closing in order for it to close. So I understand all too well that you need to factor in those things. So the lesson learned, if I went back 15 years, is when the cash flow was only saying maybe $100 or $125, they needed to be $300, $400, $500, $600 at that time in order to factor in all the budgetary items I needed to do for the roofs, the windows, the doors, the furnaces, the carpet. Everything had to be replaced.
Yeah. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about how I analyze it, which I was taught this way. And when I say this to other real estate investors, they're like, "You're insane! Like, why you're never going to find anything that cash flows?" And you know what? everything cash flows, just a matter of how much money you have to put into it. Because basically, from the purchase price, if you're able to get the rent, it's going to cash flow. And everyone says, oh, it's going to be negative cash flow. But no, they're just looking at it wrong, because they're paying the bank first, because basically, from the income versus just the basic expenses of the taxes, the insurance, those things, not the operational, but those things, whatever's left over is usually positive, and that means it cash flows.
Yep.
Now there's two people to pay, you and the bank.
Yep.
Who do you love more? So then you figure out, okay, well, if I love
Depends who screams louder.
If I love me more, that means I'm going to factor in how much my profit first, and then whatever's left over is to pay the bank. But so generally triplexes or less, it's very difficult to find anything that's really, without sinking a lot of money, without having a small ROI, that really doesn't justifies putting that much money into it. Factor typically 12.5% vacancy per year. It may not be vacant this year, may not be vacant next year, but look what's going on in the economy right now. And people sitting with vacant. I've known guys from the group that we're go to on Wednesday, they've sitting on not just 1, 2, but some of them 10, 20, 30 properties vacant for not just 1 month, but 2, 3, 4 months at a time. Yep. So if you're not factoring it in, now, like I said, you plan for the worst, but you hope for the best,
Absolutely.
right? But you're planning for the worst. You're planning for that vacancy. And then repairs and maintenance, $2,000, $2,500 per unit per year.
Yep.
It doesn't mean you're going to spend it, but when that roof goes, or you have that special assessment, or something comes up, you've already budgeted that money, and it's sitting there waiting for this expense to happen. And you're not trying to come up with money to close the deal at the end of the term, at the end of the sale, right?
Yeah, at RAIN, the CEO, Patrick Francie, teaches, and he calls it the phase 2, essentially a phase 2 property analysis. After you do the cash flow pro forma, then you take a look at the ages of every of the mechanicals, and you factor in when it's going to be replaced and how much money has to be set aside now to do that. Because having rental properties, when you have the money in the bank and when a hot water tank goes, it's okay, good. I planned for it, right? So those are all good news scenarios.
Excellent. So what do you see with regards to people picking properties? What are they focusing on? Do you see a lot of mistakes being made with regards to selecting the property?
Well, it's selection of property is actually one of those. It's a hard one to really pinpoint, but a lot of people don't do the research. Back to the research. So I think that the first thing you need to do is you need to do some kind of background economic research in an area. And to keep it, I could go on for hours on this. And if you're interested, Don Campbell has a wonderful book called Real Estate Investing in Canada. That's a fantastic book to pick up. But I highly recommend that you really look at the people, if you will. The people, are they moving in more than they're moving out? Are the people working? Right, so is unemployment low? And if the people that are working, is their wages growing or declining? Really, between those three is a really good starting point. And then after that, you start getting into research in certain neighborhoods and certain areas and tenant profiles and the demographics and the types of properties. One of the things that I've now divesting a lot of my older properties, and I'm actually getting into brand new construction properties. Where brand new, where you're getting it top to bottom, everything built from brand new with tenant in mind. So we're actually have a tenant spec where we will put in all the right soundproofing, all the right parking, everything. So it's built for tenant-friendly properties, and you actually get a new home warranty. And suited houses, and as just all one legal? Of them, all legal, all 100%. They're actually designed right from the ground up with a tenant in mind, and they're cash flowing really well. It's a little bit tighter than if you bought a resale, but the one thing that people don't factor in is if you buy a resale that's 30 years old, you're going to have to replace all those mechanicals. On a brand new property, typically, if you know your builder well, which we do our research on our builders very well, if we know them well, you may not be putting any capital into that project and those houses for a long period of time. And I'm actually taking a step forward is every 5 to 7 years, I'm actually selling my portfolio and getting new inventory. Right. And just keep all the inventory fresh, keep it churning, and potentially not have to have that large capital expenditure that I talked about earlier.
Do you find a lot of, especially newer investors, focus more on price price than anything
else? Yeah, price is probably the number one thing. And you said something earlier, and I want to add to it, is price is what you pay, value is what you get.
That's right.
And you can get cheap, and cheap is cheap, and I mentioned that earlier. And don't just focus. It's just one variable to the equation. It's an important variable. Don't get me wrong. I want to get things. I want to get something of value at the least amount of money. But at the same time, am I also willing to pay maybe a premium to have less tenant turnover, a premium to have less tenant issues, a premium to pay less in maintenance on a long-term basis? Now, here's the thing people don't think about is when you're actually buying it up front, maybe you pay a little bit of a premium. The bank actually finances like 80% of that. Yeah. It's not cash out of your pocket, but every dollar you put in after the fact to put a roof, windows, doors, furnace is 100% coming out of your pocket or for somewhere else.
So what kind of warranties are you guys getting on these new?
Well, the new home warranty changes. We offer there's 1 year from the builder, bumper to bumper.
Okay.
A lot with that. We actually some of our builders offer an extra year or two on that, and then things start changing as the year goes on. I think they're 5-year prorated up to 5 years.
Nice. Yeah. So there's a good chance you don't have to invest a lot,
potentially,
if any.
Yep, absolutely. Or you're prepared for it.
Or just cosmetics.
Cosmetics. A lot of you will always have operation tenant turnover costs, always. But potentially a new roof will be covered for under warranty. You may not have to pay for that if you're only going to own it for 5 to 7 years, and then just keep churning new inventory.
Excellent. Which is something I do in the rent-own business. Is just keep churning inventory over and over and over, and not having those and pushing the costs onto the tenant buyer, which, let's face it, been doing rent-own a long time. Tenant buyers love new.
Yep.
They love the newer the better.
Yep.
So they don't want to have to shell out that kind of money for potential repairs and maintenance, because you're pushing it all on them.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, so you still want to be a long-term holder. Yep. Let's say you still want to hold your portfolio for 20 years. So every 5 years, you just churn your portfolio over, and you never have anything more older than a 5-year-old property. Mm-hmm. But you still hold a portfolio for property for 20 years.
Right. Excellent. If you guys are just joining us, speaking with Russell Westcott, who's a full-time veteran Canadian real estate investor, author, member of the executive team at Tri-Urban Real Estate, and an inspirational public speaker. For 13 years, Russell was part of the Real Estate Investment Network and held the position of VP just prior to departing for Tri-Urban, where he works as a Chief Communications Officer for the full-service real estate company based out of Edmonton. And they focus on building sustainable rental communities, offering turnkey, top-performing investment real estate. Russell's part of the movement encouraging people to do what inspires them, to make a measurable impact in other people's lives. He's an optimist, believing in a bright future and the ability to build it together. In his spare time, he spends it with his family, and he reads books and strives every day to be a better leader in all aspects of life. So if you have any questions or comments, just type them in the comment field. And as always, please like, love, and share this video on your Facebook feed and any business pages that you're associated with. And I just want to welcome Michael Point to the show. Welcome, Michael. So talking about the turnkey, and then speaking about the inventory that or the portfolio that you're building now, the brand new stuff that's already suited. So let's talk a little bit about the sort of some of the systems, because when you're getting into real estate, even if you're doing the flips, if you're out there searching for stuff, people need to have some kind of a system. They need to have some kind of process. They need a team in place, and generally from day one in real estate, that they teach you to find your power team. Yep. To go out and find your power team members. They don't talk as much about systems and processes as they do about getting your power team. I think once you're in a little bit more, that's where the systems and processes come into play. But can you talk a little bit about either mistakes that people make by not having these, or some examples? Yeah,
I one of the things two things always come. Most people that get into, entrepreneurs included, and also people that get into real estate investing, they love the deal. and maybe they're the marketing people, or they're the person on the front end, hey, moving and shaking, if you will. They love that. But a lot of people don't actually think about that. Once you actually buy a piece of real estate, or buy another, or buy another, or buy another, you're now starting to create mountains and mountains of paperwork. And you have to then, how are you going to collect the rents, and all the procedures that go behind the scenes of actually owning a piece of real estate is actually far greater, the details of that, than actually the buying of the property. The buying of the property is the easy part. Quite frankly, it's the analysis, it's the finding the place and doing the diligence, and people like that because it's exciting and it's shiny. But most people just kind of don't like the behind the scenes.
What comes after that?
What comes after that is really the hard work, and really the work, ladies and gentlemen. Because if you don't manage the property very well, that property, as the old saying goes, what you don't own will soon own you. So if you actually don't lean in and manage the property well, that property will own you and will take you down. It really will. So, and just a real fun example of late. So I've committed to really just diving into our portfolio. My wife and I are committed to taking our portfolio, taking everything digital, taking our entire paperwork process digital. And so we're sitting down on Saturdays, usually when we have our meetings, and we're literally going, each piece of paper that comes across, we get. Where does it go? Who scans it? Who has to review it? What action does it go? Who does it go to? And we're actually mind mapping every single piece of paper, where the passwords are to everything that we have, where all the bank accounts are. Some things we get email statements, some things are on bank statements, some things are on paper. It is just, it's quite overwhelming if you actually think about it. Yeah. And for people that are just starting, I want you to just be aware that you will need your back-end systems and you need your team in place, because every property you buy, you are buying a business in a box, and you need to treat it that way. Yeah,
you need to have that. If you want to be successful, you need to have all those things in place. Now, there's also two schools of thought when it comes to real estate. Maybe not thought, but people come from two different areas. So there's the real estate investors that either have money or have access to money, either through partners or they go out and raise money. And then there's the people that do real estate investing through the no money down strategies, whether it be wholesaling, lease option, agreement for sale, or whatever. So I've always primarily done the latter, meaning no money down strategies. And I know a lot of people do the first one, where they have money or have access to money. And what we're talking about processes, when you actually, in my thoughts are, when you actually have money, it's much easier to find opportunities, because you're able, realtors are going to bring you deals because they know you have money. They're willing to work with you. They're willing to, they want you to buy that piece of property. So it's easier for you to get those types of opportunities, where on the other hand, when you don't have money, generally realtors don't want to deal with you as much, because they're not going to make any money off you, let's face it. And so you need to have some sort of a system in place for getting the owner to attract the owner, which is where I was very successful in building a system on the front end. So you need both the front end and the back end. Now, just because you have money, you can make a lot more money if you have a system where the owner comes directly to you, cutting out that middleman. So which one of those have you done more of, and do you now have a system for the other?
Well, it's both. To play an accountant maybe there, but really, if I was to summarize what you said, and I 100% wholeheartedly agree, it comes down to time or money, right? So if you're doing the route of no money down, and having buyers come to you, and agreements for sales, and the rent to owns, and the flips, and those kind of things, you're going to need money. Time out. See, there's a mistake. You're going to need the time.
Yes.
Right? You will need time to focus on that. And if you don't have the time to focus on that, that might not work out. But maybe one or two you can do in a year easily. But some people say, well, I'm going to do one a month. Okay, well, you better have lots of time. And the other realm of if you have the capital to work on, and a lot of people do have the capital, but you don't have the time, maybe you need to find somebody as the expert who you can maybe joint venture with or partner with, or have their system and let them do the work for you, and then you get a return on your money as another step. So we kind of factored in, there's a do-it-yourself, let's do this. There's no money downs. There's a kind of a do-it-yourself, and then there's also a passive investors as well, real estate investors. So really, it comes down to of just being pragmatic on the amount of time you have, the amount of capital you have, your lifestyle goals, your aspirations, and where you want to take this business in the future.
Yeah, because I can attest to the no money down stuff. Because when I started, I was doing one deal a month, no money down. Did that for 2 years. But I was investing a large amount of time, not the time to find the opportunity because of the system I set up, the marketing system I put in place. I was getting a ton of opportunities coming to me, but then you have to follow up with I was spending all my time following up with those opportunities, negotiating on deals, where a lot of people who wanted to do the same thing I did that didn't have a marketing system in play, they were spending 80 to 90% of their time just to try to find the one person to talk to, where I'm meeting with 3 or 4 people a day, trying to get that one person to say yes. So it's easier to get the one deal a month when you have that many opportunities versus, the people who didn't have a system in play. But maybe they had the same amount of time, but they didn't have a system in play to generate those opportunities.
Well, here's what I like about guys like you, John, is you could sit here and you could sell a lot of home studies and courses if you wanted to, and just all you do is you just share all the wonderful results that come out of it. Right? Would you not agree?
Yeah.
But you actually, the thing you care about most is you want people to actually implement the system, and you want to give them both sides of the story. You want to share with them. You better put in this time, and here's where you're going to struggle, and here's where you're going to have challenges with. I want you to go in with your eyes wide open fully before you invest in this course, and then that's where you get better testimonials. People, but that's where you make more of an impact. It's not a matter of just getting everybody to buy a book or a home study. It's about making the difference and impact in people's lives.
And I've even real estate investors have hired me to set up marketing systems for them, as well as giving them all the ads. And what I've discovered is you can give them the tools. You can put them in place for them. But at the end of the day, they still have to do something.
Yep.
Just because they have a website there that once you get the traffic there that it's going to capture people's attention, they're going to want to take some action, and you write the ads that they can post ads and do the stuff that's going to get the people there. But if they don't actually do the work of posting the ads, then nothing happens. And I can't tell you how many people have invested in systems that I've created for them where they won't spend that 15 to 20 minutes a day to post the ads to get the people to come to them. And I shake my head. It's like I get so discouraged because people are investing a large sum of money, and now it's like I talk them out of it. I talk more people out of buying from me than I do buy from me, because I tell them, if you're not willing to do work on a consistent, persistent basis every day, maybe it'd be if you can't commit 15 to 30 minutes a day to this business to generate the opportunities, then don't invest any money with me. Like, don't buy a system because you're just wasting your money.
Well, a couple things you said. Number one is, and it's okay if you don't have the time you're doing, but there are other options. There are done-for-you solutions out there. There are turnkey investment properties that are done for you that you potentially. So by all means, don't get discouraged.
No.
And the other is, thank you for just sharing. Sharing the both sides of the story, because there is always, no matter how thin it's sliced, there is two sides to the story. And it comes down to really what we're talking about all from the beginning is fear of making mistakes.
Yeah.
Right? It really does. And 2 resources I'm going to leave you with. One, I recorded a video earlier this year called Shoot the Puck, which is kind of a signature story that I have about if you're feeling stuck, shoot the puck.
Yeah.
And there's a wonderful book that just came out just recently called The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. I highly recommend if you're feeling stuck, that's a wonderful resource for people to pick up as well. Sometimes you just need to push and just need to do something, because magic happens once you actually start and get something done.
That's right. Failure to take action generally means you're going to end up fail or not get anywhere. So be consistent, persistent on the action you take, but take some action. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's ready, fire, aim. Just get out there and actually make something happen. So, Russell, I want to thank you. That's all the time that we have for today. Thank you for being on the show, coming into Edmonton. We'll post Russell's contact links in the comments field. So if anyone wants to reach out to Russell, you can do so. Just check the comments field. If you have any questions, if you're watching this on the replay, you have any questions either for Russell or myself, just tag us in the comment field, and we'll be sure to answer your question. As always, make sure that you like, love, and share this video on your Facebook page with all your friends and any business pages that you're associated with. And again, Russell, I want to thank you very much.
Thanks, John. That was fun.
And for everyone else, just stick around for closing remarks. Now, thanks for joining me on today's John A. McCabe Show, where we work with entrepreneurs, business owners, authors, experts, and speakers get seen, get heard, get noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device. Now, also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. Now, if you're someone who's looking to take your business to the next level and want to get some coaching advice, why not apply to be a guest on today's show? Now, for most entrepreneurs, we want to create a life of our own, create our own path, and do what we can to reach our own desired outcome, which is generally freedom. Freedom to choose what we want to do, when we want to do it, and with whom we want to do it. A life that's full of options and choices, where we worry less about money and more about the quality of time that we spend with others. Now, a great way to make that happen is to leverage other people's knowledge, time, and skill sets. Step one to reaching our freedom life is to realize that you can't do it alone. Working with a coach or being involved in masterminds is a great way for entrepreneurs to move their business forward. Now, a coach can help you shorten the time frame to get you from where you are to where you want to be, while being part of a mastermind is meant to bring entrepreneurs together, all with the goal of helping each other move forward with their business. Now, the second step to creating the life you envision for yourself as an entrepreneur is to implement systems into your business so you can streamline your operations, leverage systems, and free up your time to focus on your family, having fun, and the highest leverage activities in your business. You know, the activities that get you the biggest return on your time invested, the ones that truly make you money. Now, sometimes we just don't know what systems we need, how to implement those systems, or even have the time to find out what is needed. Now, working with a coach or consultant that understands, uses, and specializes in systems that can streamline your operations can help save you time, aggravation, and make you a lot more money. Now, for example, having a system or strategy that allows you to leverage just 15 hours of your time into enough repurposed content to get you seen, get you heard, get you noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device is a great example of leverage. Now, just imagine a system where you invest just 15 hours of your time, and the end result is you're a #1 best-selling author. You have enough content that's going to get you seen, get you heard, get you noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device. You have a successful podcast. Now, it's automatically attracting more attention, giving more value, and generating more leads, which enables you to attract an abundance of paying customers. Now, this is also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. Now, to find out more about the Authority Acceleration Blueprint coaching program or mastermind, then contact me via my website at johnamccabe.com or connect with me through my show's Facebook page. Now, again, thank you for joining us on today's show, and I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's show when I have another great guest on discussing their business and accelerating their authority. So have yourself an amazing day, and I look forward to seeing you again real soon.